Hello, welcome back to I Create For You. Today we're doing a very small story called The Smallest Ghost in the Ghosts Among Us book. Ghosts came in all sizes. Carly Parrish was 11 years old when she fell in love with a tiny fluff of a creature she could cradle in her hand. Bubbles, the hamster, was just a baby when Milton Keynes' England girl began to nurture him. He was a Christmas gift, she said. She was devoted to her new friend. She couldn't help but smile when he looked up at her with his shiny dark eyes and wiggled his little nose. He lived in her room in a little cage complete with an exercise wheel. He was very active at night, said Carly, as she remembered one of her favorite childhood pets. Each night she fell asleep to the reassuring squeak of the exercise wheel as Bubbles scampered around and around and around. At night, he was constantly on that wheel, she said. Bubbles died when he was 2 years old, and Carly was inconsolable. I screamed for hours, she confided. After he died, I didn't want the cage in my room, so Mom put it in the garage, Carly said. But the fact that his cage was no longer in her room did not seem to deter her, the feisty little spirit of Bubbles. In the dark of her room, Carly snuggled beneath the covers and was about to drift off to sleep when a sound startled her. It was the distinctive squeak of Bubbles' hamster wheel. Then, 13 years old, Carly was frightened by the sound. Bubbles was gone, and so was his cage. How could it be? Night after night, hour after hour, she lay in the dark and listened as the squeak of the exercise wheel. Spooked by the occurrence, she began to wear earplugs to bed. I also used to leave the hall light on at night. I never looked toward where the noise came from because once I was in bed, I wouldn't move again until it was light. It really scared me. After about 6 months, Carly welcomed 2 new friends into her life. A pair of gerbils took up the residence in her room, and the phantom sound of Bubbles abruptly stopped. An adult now, Carly is no longer frightened by the idea of a spirit pet sticking around. She still remembers Bubble fondly. I loved him to bits, she said. Judging by the fact he stayed so long, it seems that Bubble was attached to her too. Poor little Bubbles. That's an odd name for a hamster, isn't it? You'd think you'd name a fish Bubbles. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a little quick story. I remember when I was a kid, I had lived across the street from a pet shop, and I used to go in there all the time. Love animals. So I used to go in there. Finally, I said to my mom, may I have a long-haired hamster? Can I please have a hamster? You know, I wanted to get the whole habit trail thing where they had little tubes and everything, and their little, like, city. And she kept saying, no, you can't have a hamster. You're not allowed to have a hamster. I actually saved up money from doing my chores. And I went over. I was quite young. I'd say it was like maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I went over and I picked out a long-haired hamster. And I made him a little, I know this is cruel, a little home in one of my dresser drawers. I cleared out one of my dresser drawers. It was a deep one nonetheless, and I did leave it open a little bit so he had some air. You know, I wasn't not thinking. I just enough so that he wouldn't get out, but just enough that he would get a little bit of light and he would get air, right? I thought it only lasted maybe like 2 days before my mom discovered it because she heard scratching in my room and couldn't figure it out. We had a cat at the time, Pumpkin, and he was always in my room and always staring at the dresser. And I was like, shoo, get out of here. You're going to give me away. And, Mom found out, and I had to march right back over to the pet store and give up my hamster. But that was my little hamster story. And those things were nocturnal. As I got older, I got my kids guinea pigs. They sucked at night, believe me. They were constantly moving about and squeak, 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 all the time. Like, oh my God, what have I done? But man, I mean, they love those guinea pigs, and we even had little baby guinea pigs. They were so cute. But oh, just to be warned, if you ever think about those little cute critters for your children or grandchildren, I find a place not in their room for the animal, because they are very nocturnal. And once they get out and they're loose, heaven forbid you have a cat or a dog or whatever, because they will get caught. I haven't had that experience, but I've known people who have, and it was not a very good thing for the little person who loved that animal. Anyway, I'm going to try to draw a really cute little hamster. I loved my little hamster. He was so cute. I actually named my hamster Hammy. I know, that's a good name for a pig, right? Well, I didn't have he wasn't a guinea pig, so to speak, but I did name him Hammy, for short for hamster, you know? I thought that was a pretty cute little name for him. And I did buy him, he had little carrots I would give him. He had little snacks that I bought from the pet store that I bought him. So I wasn't how do I say this? I wasn't a kid who wasn't aware of what you needed to do to take care of an animal. I mean, I wasn't someone who thought if I just stick him in the drawer, the hamster will be happy like I am to have him. You know, I did have an idea of how to take care of him. So, and believe me, I questioned that the guy who owned the pet store. I questioned him to no end about how to take care, because I was worried. I didn't want any harm to come to him if I would have him, that I would accidentally, cause its demise, as you would will. I don't know what I can say and what I can't really say on here, but yeah, I was very thoughtful, very conscious of what to do, so. And I thought I was okay to have a pet, because I really wanted to have a pet, and I thought I could do it. And I even paid with my own money, so I thought I was being responsible. There's the word I've been looking for. A responsible pet owner. At the time, all we had was, we had a a German Shepherd that my cousin he rescued. He found that the poor thing out in a wooded area, tied to a tree. And I was like, oh my goodness, and then I don't even know. I think it might have had a collar on it. I'm sorry about my throat. I'm not feeling too well today. But he had a collar. She had a collar on her, and so her name was Trixie, and it was just a funny name for a dog. But yeah, this guy's gonna be Plump. These are so cute. They're just such a cute little animals. Yeah, it's just, nowadays it's like you get people get their kids animals because they're cute, and then they don't want to take care of them once they grow up, because they don't have any idea how much bigger they're going to get, or how much of a responsibility they are. So yeah, there's people out there who aren't responsible. I don't even know how many fingers these suckers have. I think they only have 4, but I don't remember. And I used to love the guinea pigs, how they would stuff their food in their cheeks like chipmunks. But the only thing with the guinea pigs that you always have to watch, that not many people know about either, are their teeth grow, and you must get them filed down. If you can't file them yourself or don't know how to, you need to get it done, because their teeth will will actually grow to the point where they'll have a hard time eating, which is very, very strange, I know, but that's one of the features of a guinea pig. I hope this kind of looks like a cutie patootie hamster. I can't do his toes good. His toes are looking funky, people. Sorry about that. This does not look like a foot. I'm not sure what that looked like. I'll try to make it look like a little foot, a little bit better. There we go. Our plump little guy. And it's really cute to find out that, you know, even little guys like this have a certain love for their owners, enough to stick around. And probably my opinion of what happened was, when she got those other pets, it stuck around because it didn't want her to be lonely without her, because of that, because he passed, and kind of was content with moving on once his owner had someone to keep her company. That's just my opinion. That's what I'm thinking, but I like that thought. I like the thought that he was worried about his owner kind of feeling lonely. And there he is. There is Bubbles. I didn't make him scary. I made him cute. And that's him with all his fat little chunkiness. Alrighty. Let me know if you had the little animals like this. Had any, got to have any of these when you were little, or your kids had them or whatnot. But they are so cute. They are cute. They're always cute until they grow up. Well, these don't get that much bigger. But I've always loved the long-haired ones. Same with the guinea pigs. I love the long-haired guinea pigs because their hair would go every which way on their face. It just made them look so cute. But they are so obnoxious at night. There's always one little thing that gets you after you get an animal, unless they've lived with you from the beginning. With our cats, all our cats have been, we basically got them since they were kittens, so we've had no problem with our cats, with their no real bad mannerisms or anything like that. But you know, if you do rescue them from a shelter, you don't know their background, you don't know what they've been exposed to. Because I know some shelters also have little animals too, and you think you're doing the animal a favor, but you got to be mindful that they may not know what kind of home they came from, and they may not know what they've been subjected to. So you really got to be careful with that also. Anyway, thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed this little story. And I'll have a few more. I have another one. Wednesday is whatever Wednesday, and then Friday I have another one from the book, and I will probably either post, if not Wednesday, or not today anymore, because I am feeling like poop today and I don't know why, but I might post all the books that I got at this book sale. This past weekend we went to a library book sale, fundraising book sale, and I got a ton of interesting ghost books. And I also met, if you saw my post today earlier, I did meet a paranormal author at a craft show that I went to I set up for on Sunday. So I have his info on there if you want to check him out also. And so I'm done yapping for now. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please give me a thumbs up if you like the content. Stick around if you want to dive into more ghostly encounters with me, and whatever Wednesday, which we dive into different things to do other than sketching, but it is usually art and craft related things you could do with your family and friends or loved ones, or to get for people as gifts. Who knows? Or you enjoy yourself. And so that, with that being said, subscribe because you don't want to miss out. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay creative, stay a little creepy, and stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye for now.